today, I just want to make a very quick introduction to the panelists that we'll be having today. And I am absolutely thrilled to introduce. And one of them will be joining us a bit later, an hour into this. Then we are going to start. They're going to also, what do I say? They're also going to introduce themselves, and then they can tell us why they are particularly thrilled about the future of work and the world of work. It is my absolute pleasure to begin by introducing Sheena. She is the UK Kenya Tech Hub Director. Doris is also in the room with us today. We're going to be hosting Nikki and finally Stewart towards the end of our call today. So Sheena and Doris, I can see Doris with her smiley face. Maybe you can say hi, then Sheena can start, and then we can move forward. We want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions at all, please type them in the chat box. I'll be sure to make sure that our very, very delightful panelists get to answer them. So, yes. Doris, you could introduce yourself, then Sheena can take over.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Doris Chelagaswige. I'm really, really excited to be here, and we will be catching up much later. I'll hand over to Sheena.
Hi, so my name's Sheena Raikandalia, and as Cindy mentioned, I'm the director for the UK Kenya Tech Hub. I'm going to go straight ahead and kind of just talk about a few things that I feel about the future of work, but I'm really rather than me just kind of talking at you, I feel it'll just be a lot more conducive if you can just be as interactive as possible and, ask your questions, and let's try and get into discussion. I can't say that I have all the answers, but what I can definitely say is I'm a real optimist in sort of crowdsourcing, thinking together, and really figuring out how we should take this, opportunity of the future of work forward. So just to give a bit of a background, first of all, so I sort of mentioned that I am the country director for the UK Kenya Tech Hub, and the UK Kenya Tech Hub is a fairly new initiative. So we were set up in August, and we're the British government, but here in Kenya. So normally situated in the British High Commission in Nairobi, but of course working virtually as of now. So we're part of the UK government, and we're part of a larger network of hubs. So I lead Kenya, but we've got Nigeria, we've got South Africa, and outside of Africa, we've got India, we've got Indonesia, we've got Brazil, and we also have Israel, which was one of the first models. Now, when I think about the future of work, I always think back also to this tech hub that we've set up. And let me be clear, this tech hub is a virtual hub, so very in line with how the future looks like. The British government, isn't here to kind of support entrepreneurs directly. There's plenty of hubs, accelerators, incubators, enterprise support organizations here in Kenya that are brilliant and doing an amazing job at that. What we're trying to do is fit in and see where are the gaps and where should we as a UK government try and step in to really help entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurship ecosystem as a whole. And actually skills is a key part of what we do. So skills and linkages, I think is really important. So this webinar is super, super relevant. So I think as we talk about the future of work, and we can obviously trace it historically. So previously, anytime there was any kind of form of technology coming in, people were very scared. It was like, oh my God, this is going to lose, this is going to make us lose all our jobs, etc. So that fear is sort of natural, and it's kind of the way we think. So I always go back to this example that Henry Ford, the Ford cars that he used. He said and he uses, and this quote, he said, if I asked people what they wanted back in the day, they would have said a faster horse. Nobody would have said a car. So I think the key when we think about these things is the adjective, faster. So what do we want? What do people want? They wanted a mode of transport to go faster. So I think that's how we need to sort of think through the future of work. Like, what do people want when it comes to work? I think people want meaning. I think people want meaning in their work. They want to make a difference. They obviously need to make money. And we look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you've got your physical needs. You need to know where your food is coming from. You've got shelter. You've got your basic needs. But as you go up, there's some other needs that also need to be fulfilled. And these days, in the age of technology, etc., work-life balance people talk about, but work is in your home and home is in your work, and vice versa. So I think to start off with, what I would say is the future of work really, really will depend on, where you are. It's not the same. People talk about the future of work, but it really depends on who you are. So from the Tech Hub perspective, we try to divide it into three perspectives. First, we have what I call like our high growth tech startups, and people like Cindy, who is one of our, one of our brilliant female tech founders, whom we took to London for our Africa Investment Summit, is an example of just that. Tech founders who are really going to be able to use technology to grow and scale, hopefully into these scalable businesses, not just in Africa, but, hopefully globally. So what the future of work means to somebody like Cindy or people that she's going to hire is very different to kind of what the future of work is going to be like to an SME or an MSME. So I think that's one perspective to have in mind. It depends on where you kind of are. Now, based on that, I think what we've seen with COVID especially is that digital is going to be part of our conversation for the future of work, wherever we go now. So even if you're your MSME, you're your mama boga, and a lot of people have started doing this, right? Like you're ordering your fruits and vegetables from your WhatsApp group. Now, interestingly, I've recently started working with experimenting with this with just a really young entrepreneur. I wouldn't even say entrepreneur. He basically has his father has a farm, and he's now basically delivering fruits and veg from the farm in Limuru to our house. And how I found out about him was WhatsApp. He's now integrated with an app for border deliveries, car deliveries, etc. So what I'm saying is the future of digital and the future of work is digital, but it's different for different people. So it could be things like basic skills, like basic digital skills. You can have your high-end, data analytics, etc. And you have your typical SMEs who normally were just carrying on the day-to-day work, but now some of them have had to move online. Some of them can't move online and actually have had to stop. So I think really the future of work is not the same for everyone, and it just depends on where you are, but there's opportunities for everyone. Now, when we talk about sort of digital and when you talk about future of work, everybody comes up with, artificial intelligence, robots, machine learning, data. Completely agree. All these things are super, super important. But you can't say data is the new oil unless unless businesses actually know how to use that data, unless they're using this data to make decisions. Now, in a typical company in Kenya, most of the kind of hiring, IT, etc., is done by HR managers, or IT is treated as operations. So until you don't start treating tech and IT as strategic, like how can how can tech be actually used to make me more money, to cut down on my costs, to save my time, to make me more operationally efficient? I think you can have as many skilled people, but they're not going to get integrated into the workforce. So I think that's super important. The second kind of big change that's happened is around geographies. So working from home. I'm working from home right now. Lots of different people are working from home across the world. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that we don't actually have to be living in Nairobi if you're in Kenya? Does this mean that I can now move out to like Naivasha and further and work from home and then come in as and when I please? What does that actually mean for businesses? Does that mean cities are no longer as important? Does that mean we're going to see like wider clusters and declustered teams? Is that what the future of work looks like? Because back in the 90s, it was all about kind of centralized big corporations. Is the future of work actually more decentralized around different teams working together on sort of projects or tasks, etc.? We talk about the rise of the gig economy. Is that where we're going? And is has COVID kind of sort of shown that that's possible? Finally, I think two more points. The third point I would say is in terms of new sectors. What are we talking at the moment? People are talking about sectors that have been hard hit, right? And as we talk about especially when you look at COVID, you think tourism, you need all of these sectors. The retail sector has been hard hit. But what are the opportunities that this has brought about? And in a previous webinar, and I keep talking about this now, but I keep talking about sort of agri-tech and agro-processing. I think one of the things that has sort of come up is people need to eat. We need to figure out a way to get food in a way that's not reliant on anybody else. So I think in the future, we're going to see a lot more self-sustaining kind of, agriculture here. And it's already happening with businesses. The COVID-19 hackathon that was hosted with the Ministry of ICT and Consitech, one of the winning solutions actually was talking about urban gardening. Another kind of female SME, again, that we took to AIS, Shiru from Fun Kids, she started doing this planting of kind of seeds around cities and schools, etc. So I think when we talk about the future of work, yes, we can talk about all the exciting and, sexy things, but there's also opportunities in the more boring, more traditional, different ways of how to do this. And again, it really depends on where you are: MSME, SME, high tech start growth, high tech growth startup, that Cindy is. And I think the final point that I will make before I stop is around sort of the digital divide. The biggest difficulty, the biggest challenge that I see with the future of work is, what happens to those, the haves versus the have-nots. So the people who can join in this webinar, for example, and all of us, we're very privileged. But what about the people who can't join in because they're not connected, or data's too expensive, or they're not even aware of this? So what's really, really worrying is, if the future of work is all about digital, etc., how do we make sure that there's not such a digital divide, and we don't, actually create the inequalities between those who have versus those who don't have? And I think in order to really, really push forward a positive future of work agenda, is let's think about some of the big challenges, whether it's connectivity, last mile distribution, whether it's costs, and I think really, really sort of figure out what, what we can do to make the future of work positive for everyone. So I'll stop there, but if anyone's got any kind of questions, thoughts, comments.
Thank you very much, Sheena. And I'm just going to hold you out there for a bit. You've brought up a number of very interesting points. And the Sarah Nyawira in the comment box, she says she really likes what you've said, because for her as an individual in the conservation space, the future of work is when that industry is working hand in hand with tech people to strategically replace activities that emit a lot of carbon or pollution. In your experience, Sheena, what are some of the very interesting ways that you've seen, traditional non-tech industries partnering with tech industries, and how can, just a regular person who's not a techie, like most of us mortals are not, how can regular people tap into that specific kind of space without having to learn how to be a master guru programmer?
Agreed. No, very good question. And I think my answer to that is partnerships. You don't have to do it all. So I think as long as you know the basics, right? So if you attend a couple of webinars, read a couple of, notebooks, and I'll give an example for myself. So when I moved back to Kenya 5 years ago, so although I'm Kenyan, I was in the UK for 14 years, and then I came back. And when I came back here, I started my own insurtech because I thought this is a huge opportunity, right? Like, insurance penetration in Kenya is 3.4%. Why are people not doing this? Is there a lack of information? And I was like, right, I can fix this. I'm going to set up a insurance comparison website, just like what I have in the UK. I'm not a techie by background. I'm the director of the UK Kenya Tech Hub, but my background, I was a lawyer in London for 10 years, so I'm not a techie. However, when I came here, I thought, ooh, let me try. And I tried to teach myself how to code. So I read a lot of stuff, and what I realized is I don't know how to code. I'm a rubbish coder. But what I did is find a partner who's good at coding. So you don't have to know everything, but know what you know and try and figure out what you don't know. And there's enough basic information for you to get a gist of, I don't know how to do this. Maybe somebody else does. So I think that partnership element is very, very important. And picking up on Sarah's point in terms of the environmental issues, and one the lack of travel, I think, has been amazing, right? Like the fact that we can see Mount Kenya and the air travel, and in that way it's shown that that's been a huge impact in terms of carbon emissions, but even basic other things that we've been talking about. So hospitals at the moment, the Ministry of Health, they're saying, are there ways where basically we can run solar powered hospitals? Now let's take that into factories. Now, I mentioned agro-processing and value addition. I think one of the things that we need to be doing more of here is adding value. Did you guys know that we have amazing cashews here in Mombasa, but we send them to India for polishing and then buy them back? I mean, that's ridiculous. Why are we not doing this here? Now, imagine that we're doing this here as a business, but also using solar powered to run that small agro-processing factory. Now, that's an idea that basically meets creating value, creating jobs, using tech, partnerships, and actually, tick, win-win, a new industry, a new job. And that's what the future of work should look like. These are the problems. What are the solutions that we should find? But techies and non-techies partner, that's what it is. A lot of the times I speak to techies and they're brilliant. And then when I try to tell them, please, explain to me your idea, and they just can't, and they just go into technical terms. I'm like, right. So literally I've sat down with people and I've said, explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. So non-techies, you have that skill. And techies, you have skills to come together, and that's what we need more of. And most startups that have been successful have a combination, a diversity of skills.
Absolutely, absolutely. I also like what you mentioned at the beginning of your conversation about the person delivering food to you in your place. Like for me, and it's a conversation we will have on our very last day on how regular people like us can jumpstart the informal economy by just partnering. If you know you are a bit more techy and you know there's a mama mboga somewhere or just a tailor somewhere and they do not have or they're not interested in the tech or digital marketing aspect, that combination can be quite powerful, and everyone gets money, our economies grow, everyone's income is exploding, and I feel like that's a future of work that we can all look forward to, particularly if we already know the opportunities that exist. So this conversation in general is about opportunities and what they mean for us. So I want to thank you very much, Sheena, for
Absolutely.
that
Just can I
very.
just have one more? Can I just say one more point that I
Yeah,
forgot to say?
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
one of the things that I actually forgot to say is, we as donors, governments have a role to play in this, and a couple of things that we have done, and you'll hear more about it. You're gonna hear about it in the media right now. It's on my LinkedIn, so anybody feel free to kind of to check it. But two things we've done is we're creating a B2B marketplace. So if you're a business and you could be your startup, your SME, whoever you are, and let's say you need suppliers, you need partners, etc. You we've set up a website called jakua.com, and again right now it's not live yet, but people who want to register, feel free to register. It's going to be a one-stop shop where businesses can do businesses with each other but also have access to information, just the kind of information that you're talking about. The content will curate it from everywhere. That's one. And the second thing we're doing is a gig economy portal. So as you guys said, a lot of you people are going to be in the gig economy, right? Working on projects, working on this. What is the difficulty with gig economy? My insurance, my health, my perks, my laptop, my phone is tied to my job. Once I lose my job, I lose all those things. So what we're trying to do is create a portal where all your benefits, your insurance, your health, education, phone, laptops are actually tied to you individually. So that's going to be, it's called Perks, and watch this space and register again, because those two things are coming soon to help basically this new future of work. But that's it for me.
Absolutely. That's a feature of work that's exciting as hell. So as soon as it is launched, Sheena, you're gonna have to hook me up so I can hook up everyone who's all the amazing people who
Most
signed up to today's call. Okay.
definitely. If anybody wants early access to sign up, please do. So very
Okay.
open.
Thank you very much, Sheena. If anyone has any questions or comments, please type them in the chat box and we'll get back to them as soon as we can. So right now, I'd like to introduce Nikki. She's joining us in from South Africa. Nikki, I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself. And if you can just unmute yourself, turn on the video so that people can see your very, very wonderful face.
My greetings to everyone who is on the webinar today. My name is Nikki Verd. I'm quite excited to be part of the webinar today. And as Cindy has rightly said, my name is Nikki Verd, and I am the author of the book titled Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted. For as long as we can remember, disruption has always been aligned to new business models that come into the marketplace and disrupt the marketplace. But I took that same concept, which is not being applied to a new business model that comes into the marketplace, but that we should take that aspect of disruption and apply it into our personal lives, where you are looking at where the world is going and you are asking yourself the hard questions. Is the industry in which I am now still going to be viable in the next 5 years? Is what I'm studying in school now still going to be viable in the next 5 years? Is the course or certificate I'm currently holding on to, is it going to be viable in the next 3 to 5 years? Those are the kind of questions you ask, and then you disrupt yourself. If you see there's no future in what you're currently doing, then disrupt yourself. Otherwise, you will get disrupted because there is really no neutral ground where you can, have some sort of a safety net and said, you know what, this thing is going to blow over and I'll be fine. No, it's either you are the one disrupting or you are being disrupted. And my book actually came from a personal experience. I've told the story a million times. It came from a personal experience where I got retrenched and I did not see it coming. So that was just the beginning of disruption for me. And someone else did that to me. My company did that to me. My boss did that to me. I had no say, and that is why I was hit so hard. I was devastated. I was completely broken by that experience because I did not see it coming and I didn't know what the future holds for me. So disruption happened for me, and then I realized that if I had been prepared for this, because I thought I was young, I thought I'm just starting out in my career, this can happen to me. I thought that retrenchment happens to all the people, you know. That's how my mind was working. And so I was completely unaware. So it took me completely unaware. I had plans for the future, plans for 5 years with the same organization. Even my boss used to tell me about plans for 5 years, but when push come to shove, I was pushed out without even considering those plans, and the contract with no permanent employment contract we signed. So there's nothing like permanent employment. In the days in which we are living now, there's nothing like job security. And, you know, I like the conversation around the future of work, because I believe that the future of work is not going to be what we have been told before by our parents. The future of work is not going to be the idea of you go to school, you get a certificate, and you get a job. That is completely changing. And the shift is happening right now, you know. So the conversations that we are having right now, they are quite interesting, and I'm quite excited about the conversation, because the future of work for me is not going to be about jobs. Whatever you decide in the future is work for you, is going to work out for you, because for so long, many people always attribute work to having a job. But now work is going to be anything you can create. Work is going to be anything you can imagine. Work is going to be anything you can decide. It is no longer going to be something. Work is no longer going to be something someone gives to you. Work is going to be something you create. Work is going to be something that you decide, okay, now I am going to become this. I'm going to become that. I'm going to try my hand in this. I'm going to try my hand in that. That is going to become work for you. So the future of work is not jobs, but there will always be work, because work is something we create. A job is something we are given. And that luxury is fast running out. We are no longer going to have that kind of a luxury where we are given something, where you sit one morning, you go for an interview, and boom, someone handed you a job and your problems are completely solved. In 30 days, you get a salary. No, the work of the future is going to be one where you can possibly grind for months without getting a salary, because this is something you are creating. It's a platform, you are working on it yourself, you know. And so the idea of having paid or having a reward after every 30 days is something that we need to start getting comfortable with. It's no longer going to be that easy, where you struggle, after a couple of months you get a job, and 30 days later you have a salary. It's not going to be happening that much. Of course, there will still be people that will be having jobs. Of course, jobs will still be available. It's not like there will completely be no jobs at all. But the idea that we need to get comfortable with is that jobs are not going to be enough for us. Jobs are not going to be enough to go around for everyone. I recently made a video on my YouTube channel, and I spoke about 3 main reasons why the future of work is why a jobless future is unavoidable. If anyone can go on my YouTube channel, they will find that 3 reasons why the jobless future is unavoidable, no matter what the government does. And one of the reasons I spoke about in that, one of the reasons I discussed is exponential organizations. What do I mean by exponential organizations? These are organizations that can do so much more with less people. Machines are more at work, you know. And so even traditional organizations, even right here in Africa, are striving to become more exponential, where you find that so many people are let go and machines are being replaced. AI is coming into the workplace. Now, you look at an industry like call center, you know, where you usually, as a customer, you had a problem before, you call an organization and you actually talk to a human being. It is no longer the same. These days, you log on their website and there's a bot you're chatting with, you know, and it's directing you and answering your question like it's a person, but it is not a person. So that is an entire industry that is being phased out completely. You know, we don't know how long the call center thing is going to be a thing. Maybe in the next 5 years, it wouldn't even exist, because machines are the ones now talking back to us as customers. Machines are the ones now answering our questions. I recently had a problem with my Windows, and I had to log on the Microsoft website. I couldn't find a single person to talk to. I had to call, kept asking questions and being responded to by a bot. And I got so frustrated at some point. I was like, oh my God, this is not happening. And a friend of mine was laughing, like, Nikki, you wrote about disruption. Get used to it. This is the life. You're not going to talk to a person. There is no person. Even when I finally got hold of their customer care line and called, you are still you're still talking to a machine. You're not talking to a person. So it is just the way the system is. People are being phased out and machines are coming in. So exponential organizations are working with less people. For example, an organization that worked, say, with 10,000 employees, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, that same organization now can do way less with 50%, or maybe less than 50% of that workforce. Why? Because machines are at work, AI is taking over, digitization, a lot of processes are being digitized. And one key thing, I think before the conversation we had last time was before the COVID-19 really hit hard like it is now. And one thing we are seeing is that COVID-19 is driving digital transformation at a rate never seen before. It therefore means that even organizations that would never have gone online, never gone digital, never have considered certain processes to be done, remotely, they are being forced to embrace digitization because of COVID-19. They don't have a choice. It's either they do that or they risk, being crushed. And the more organizations are embracing digital or doing things digitally, the less human workforce they are going to need, because the processes go online. It therefore means I don't need to interact with the person anymore. I can go online and get things done by myself. So the message that we are having about the digital economy is that we all need to learn the basics on how we can plug ourselves in this economy, rather than waiting that someone is coming to save us. There is no savior, it's sad to say, but there is really no savior. No one is coming to save us. And we need to get very comfortable with the idea that the future of work is not jobs, but there will always be work in the future. And it therefore means you roll up your sleeves and you get to work. You start creating something for yourself.
You said some very powerful things there. You said that the future of work is not about jobs, it's about what you can create. And you've also said that a jobless future is inevitable. Now, there's some things you've also said towards the end that reflect what a friend of mine working in London told me. And he was telling me, Cindy, right now at our work, they run a consultancy firm that's in like 2 or 3 countries, and they have some headquarters in London, and they've been working from home for the last 3 to 4 months, like everyone else. Yeah. So he recently told me that, Cindy, even at our company, we are looking at now that a lot of companies have seen remote working is something that is viable. So guess what companies are doing? They're not going to be paying London prices if they can get the same service for someone living in Nairobi or South Africa, and they're paying the person Nairobi or South African prices and whatnot, right? So there's a lot of work that's going to be outsourced to other people, which means that we can't attach our future to specific companies. Perhaps not even specific industries. But there's something I want to throw back to you. You see the way you felt frustrated when you were trying to chat or get solution, and you kept on getting a boat, right? And it's the same frustration that people in self-service supermarkets have faced, right? Yes. Where supermarkets, I think it's one of these Whole Foods, Amazon things where you just walk out, then your card is automatically charged because it's in your pocket. And sometimes people want another human being to talk to. So do you feel like there will be a time where, after all this robotics and automations is done, now having human beings as your talent is going to be an upper hand, for example? Do you feel like there'll be a revision to the future, like after this phase? Then people are like, tech, robots. Then at the end of it all, nobody wants to talk to a bot anymore. Someone wants to talk to a human being. And now that will be the new future. Do you feel like that will be it? And another question I also want to ask is, what do you feel like the skills of the future then are? What would you say then are the skills of the future, in your opinion?
Okay, great. The first question I would say, even right now, I don't think people enjoy talking to bots. I don't. So the human element is quite important. But nonetheless, when it comes to bots and the human element and all of this, I think businesses are looking at things. They're not looking at things from an emotional point of view, and they're not looking at things from a logical point of view. They're looking at things from a business perspective. What makes the most business sense here, and what is it that is going to, create some sort of maybe profit for the organization? I think that is what businesses are looking at, because if they could talk to customers, I don't think any customer would say, no, I prefer bots to a human. I don't think anyone would say that. So these are not like times for making logical decisions or making, logical, like I've already mentioned, but it's about things that make sense from a business perspective. Because with COVID-19 now, when a bot is at work, you don't have to be worrying about it catching COVID-19 or COVID-19 catching a bot. It doesn't happen. But with a human being, an organization now constantly have to be worried about these people getting sick, you know, at work. And so hence the more people are embracing these machines. And no, one of the things I've really expanded on in the book is that robots don't go on strike. Robots don't get sick. They can work 24/7. You know, they don't go on smoking break. They don't go on tea break. Here in South Africa, tea break is you go to offices and people have their tea break and they won't even pay attention to you until that is over, you know. So robots can work round the clock. And so when it comes again from a business perspective, from a business point of view, you will see this is why organizations will embrace robotics and machines more than they will embrace humans. Because even the CEO himself, I don't think he wants to be talking to a boss. You know, he wants to talk to a person, you know. However, that being said, this means that the skill of having an ability to interact with person will be a skill of the future that each and every one of us should strive to have, you know, should embrace and learn and hone on it. Your ability to interact with people, you know, your ability to talk to people. If your business can stand out differently, you know, on how you relate with people, I think that is going to be an advantage in the future. So that is the way I see the future on that. I don't think it's going to completely be like a reverse way it comes back to humans. I don't think so. But it's just that we humans will be forced to get comfortable talking with these bots because it's where the future is going. And I don't see it being reversed anytime soon. I really don't see that, sadly. So I wish I did, but I don't. Maybe it can, but I really don't see it happening. Because from a business perspective, it makes more sense for the business to adopt that than to adopt humans.
Thank you. There's a question someone asked, Kafu. I don't know if that's how someone pronounces your name, Cafu. If I am butchering it, apologies in advance. So Kafu asks, what opportunities are available for creatives in the digital industry? In your opinion, what would you say opportunities that are available for creatives in the digital economy?
I think that there are a lot of opportunities. It's just that sometimes people are still being held back with the mindset of brick and mortar, right? Because right now, even for me, with the, you know, my industry is being disrupted like heavily right now, being heavily impacted by the COVID-19, which is of course conferences and the hospitality industry and things like that. Everything is coming to the digital space. So I had to sit down with myself and ask Nikki, what next? Okay. And I realized that as much as I have spoken about digitization and written lengthy on disruption and all of this, myself, I was not even that much into the digital space. And I remember 2 years ago, maybe less, more than 2 years ago, the audience that I have on Facebook, they constantly kept asking me, Nikki, why don't you start a YouTube channel? And I gave 1,000 reasons why I could not start a YouTube channel. I was like, no, the place I live is very small. I don't have a space to set up a studio. I don't have the resources. I don't have a camera. And I don't see myself sitting and talking to a phone in my room, which is what I'm doing right now. So I gave myself all of these reasons. But then as COVID-19 happened, I realized my message is still relevant and I cannot sit and waiting for the world to come back to some sort of normalcy. I need to find a way to plug myself into the digital space. And I started a YouTube channel. One, for a couple of reasons. One is that my brand will not die, you know, while my brand doesn't get buried with the COVID-19. Post COVID-19, somehow the Nikki Verd brand will still be there because the digital is trying to leave the digital to keep me alive, to keep me afloat. So that is one reason I started that. Secondly, I wanted people to still be able to get the same message they would get at a conference, you know. Now, hence, they have to get it digitally. And so for other reasons, where it has to do with maybe money, earning money and all of that, or being able to sell other things via the channel. So, but the reason I am saying this in regards to myself is to answer the question of someone asking, how do you plug yourself in the digital space? The question you ask is, how do you add value? Because even on my one of the videos I did recently was how to add value to your online community, which is not just adding value for value's sake. It is about you marketing yourself. So ask yourself, what industry is it you are in, and what are you selling? Then create value for people around that same service or product you are serving, you are in. On your platform, you know, on the digital platform. It could be Facebook, it could be LinkedIn, it could be YouTube, it could be Instagram, it could be whatever, but make sure you are there active and you are providing value to your community. That is you taking advantage of the digital economy, you know, being able to sell, even though your business can still be very much in a physical location, but you are providing value to your online community so much that when they need a particular solution for a problem, which is what you are solving, you are the person they will call, you are the person they will come to, you know, because I have been active online and I have been providing value to my community. That is how I get to be noticed, you know, and people get to invite me even for webinars to come and speak and to come and provide more value. So that is one aspect in which we can look at the digital economy. It is not just going there, say, okay, I have a website and I'm selling ABC, they come and buy. No, you have to approach it differently, you know, provide value to your online community. Make sure you provide, the focus should be on you providing more value to your online community. And whatever is it that you are selling, whether a product or a service or whatever it is, it can be digitized. Anything can be digitized. So I heard a story of a plumber who fired his PR team and started a YouTube channel teaching people about the basics of plumbing, teaching people how to DIY certain things about plumbing in their homes. His business exploded in a year from that channel, you know, because now people get to watch him, things that they cannot DIY by themselves. He is the person they call. His business is the one they call to come and get it fixed. But he decided, you know what, my PR team is not doing the kind of job I want. I am going to do this myself. And he started a YouTube channel providing so much value to so many people that can DIY certain things in their homes by themselves. And his business had a triple turnover because he decided to plug himself. Even though his business, like plumbing, you'll be thinking, how can someone digitize plumbing? But that is the way he did it. How can someone in plumbing take advantage of the digital economy? Those are things some people cannot imagine, but he did it. You know, for example, you could be a car mechanic, someone who is fixing cars. Take that business online, you know, provide value to your community about how certain things can be DIY. You can do that using video or using infographics or taking pictures and showing people this is what you can do, this is how you can change oil, this is how you can change your tires and all of that. That is how you digitize what is it that you are doing or what industry is it which you are. For other creative, it could be things like photography or writing. For like me, I'm more of a writer as well. Find out platforms where you can maybe monetize your writings. You know, Medium is one of those platforms. You can monetize your writings, write articles and post them out there, and you get paid for those articles. You can start a YouTube channel and create visual content where as you grow, you get paid from that. So those are some of the advantages. You can sell things, you can start a website and sell things from your online, from your website platform, whatever it is, even photography, you can start all of that as a creative so that you write content around that. When people search on Google and you come up, that is how they get to call you, that's how they get to interact with you. So there are so many opportunities online that I cannot really mention all of them right now. But for those who are willing to learn more about how to find these opportunities online, you can check on my YouTube channel. You'll find a video titled "How to Provide Value to Your Online Communities," which is basically marketing in the digital economy.
Absolutely. And just to bring it also a little back home, there was this video of someone, a Kenyan carpenter, who made a seat, a bench that could be moved into, a back bench without a table, then it could be transformed into a table.
Yes,
you saw it, right?
I saw it. It came all the way to South Africa. Yes, I saw it.
Absolutely. And within 2 days, that person was inundated with requests worth 20 million shillings, which on average is how many rand? Maybe
wow.
Maybe 7 million rand.
Wow.
So he even had to stop taking in more requests, and he could, just because he had a video go viral. So as a creative, I personally feel like that's one of the very key places where it is so easy, because even for people who come in, for what did I want to say? Yes, for people like Nikki Vard, if you're interested in just making videos and you want someone else to do the editing, and you want someone else to create the thumbnail for you, and you want someone else to create, for example, to add in subtitles, you can just create a video, send it to them, they do the editing, they upload, then they charge you per month. Opportunities are endless. Or all these people who want to drop ship. I don't know if you guys have heard about drop shipping, and you just need someone to do the graphics for you, or someone to just set up something for you. I personally feel, just like Nikki has said, the future of work is not about jobs, it's about the value you can create. So you ask yourself, how might I create value? So thank you so much, Nikki. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in the comment box. There's a very nice comment that has come in right now for you, Nikki, from a friend of mine called Faris. He says he absolutely enjoys what you've just mentioned about the future of work and all the possibilities that exist. And we'll definitely come back to you at some point again during this conversation. Guys, if you have any questions or comments, just put them in chat box and I'll make sure to direct them to the correct panelists. So this is exciting. I don't know if you guys can notice I'm glowing. It could be
I can see.
It could be the light coming, or it also could be the joy that's emanating from within, because this is precisely the kind of conversations I enjoy having. When we talk about tech, we want to bring it down. It does not just mean coding, like you're trying to go to the moon or trying to establish another Tesla, or another Amazon. No. And just like also Sheena mentioned earlier, if you to bring it just a bit lower with a fun and a border, you can get into the digital economy space by delivering foods from your market woman to the list of clients you have. It can be that simple, right? Or it can be complicated, like trying to set up what we are trying to do right now. So possibilities are endless. It's not about jobs, it's about what you can create for yourself and the value you can provide. Nikki, you are absolutely phenomenal, and I'm absolutely blown away by everything that you've just mentioned right now. And I'm sure everyone else who's here right now is absolutely thrilled just as much. So thank you very much. So we're going to head on to Doris. Doris, thank you for your enthusiasm and your patience.
Thank you so much. It's just been great to listen to Sheena and Nikki as they sort of talk about the different aspects of what this space can be, the future of work and just the digital space. So as I said, I am Doris. I have been a lot of things in life, and I think that is absolutely important to first talk about. I have been a lifeguard. I have been a dive master. I have been a lot of things. Let's just say that I have a very eclectic career. I think I found my space in talent, products, and services. Especially, I'm really, really passionate about helping people think differently about their careers and how they design that. Shortlist is a HR tech. We do HR tech. We hire a lot of. We are very passionate about hiring digital talent, and also we do executive search. So that's a bit about me, but today I'm not really here to talk about me so much, more than to see how I can help you. And as when Cindy told me to do this, I kept wondering, how can I provide more value to all of you so that you feel like you've actually gotten value? And I think I cracked something, but let's see. So I think for me, I hope everybody has a pen and a paper. Ideally, please do. Usually in class, you'll be raising it up, but clearly because of the current situations, I am assuming that everybody has a pen and a paper, because it's going to be a very quick but practical exercise I want us to do to just help us think a bit critically about what does it actually mean for some of these careers. So I want us to think differently about our careers. And my focus today is going to be very, very quickly about what if you want a career in the digital space, okay? So I went to LinkedIn, and because I am lucky to work in a recruitment firm, there's something we call LinkedIn Insights, which is all the data from every single employer who's hiring, and you can aggregate that. So, and I want to use that to take us through and just show you what is out there in the market and and then help you think about what some of those careers can be for yourself. And so very quickly, what we all need to know, and I say this to everybody I meet, is that we all have enough energy, enough talent, enough interest to live many different lives, and all of which could be interesting, could be authentic, could be productive. So no one is asking you to quit your job. Even if you have it and it's frustrating now, it's fine. You can live another. So let's try and create a whole different life today. So my first question to you is, how self-aware are you as a person? And if you're not, I will send Cindy this slides, and then she'll share with you some of the places where you can actually get a bit more self-aware, because it's important. We have a very good courses at Shortlist. You can do the Enneagram assessment. There's a lot of tools that you can use to just get self-aware. The reason why I want you to be self-aware is that you need to know, are you a critical thinker, are you a creative thinker, or are you a logical thinker? Those are broadly three different types of thinking. So logical is logical thinking are the analysts, the data people who very, very logical in their thinking. Creatives are us who think with ideas. It's like your thinking is almost like you have a movie in your head as you think about things. And then critical thinkers use objectivity and a bit of subjectivity to come to a logical conclusion. Okay, so think about who you are. Are you a logical thinker, critical thinker, or a creative thinker? And write something down about those three. Okay. Something else I want you to know about your career is that you're here now, and it's fine. Like, it doesn't matter where you are in your life. It's okay where you are now. So let's first accept that regardless of COVID, regardless of everything else, I am here. How can I work from here moving forward and not try and wonder, how else do I go? The next thing I want you to do is I want you to imagine that the career you have now, even if you're in school, the thing that you're passionate about is redundant and is no longer possible. So you've been told that thing that you love, out. And the only careers available are 5, and they're in the digital space. Okay, and these are the 5 top careers that I picked out from LinkedIn Insights. Okay, and those careers are, and feel free to write them down because they're very important. 1 is a digital marketer. 2 is a product marketing, product management. The other is design, programming, and finally data science. So think about those 5, and then I'll give you a bit more data into each of them to help you make a decision as to if your job was no longer possible and you're only given those 5 options, which one would you want to take? Based, very importantly, on your own skills and abilities. So it's not the most romantic one or the one that is most rare. It's what can I do? And when I do it, I will get into flow. I will really, really flourish as I do it, right? So let's look at, for example, digital marketing. So if you look at digital marketing, when I went into LinkedIn Insights to look at digital marketing, so what we all know digital marketing is where we use digital marketing to responsible for all the digital channels, generate leads, and build awareness. So I went into Insights. I noticed that Upwork, Safaricom, Equity, ICT, and KCB Bank are the ones who hire digital marketers the most. Skills that are needed is, and I'll share this with all of you, you need to be able to know web design, a bit of digital media, a bit of graphic design. So if you're a creative thinker, this is really cool. A bit of ad serving and maybe search engine optimization. In terms of salary, and this I know because, hello, shortlist, and just being a recruiter, it pays, and when I say salaries, I'm thinking from 2 to 5 years experience. So if you want to be a digital marketer, you'll pay anything from 80,000 to 250,000 shillings if you have 2 to 5 years solid experience. You will notice I will always say 2 to 5 because your first 2 years is really, really learning. You start generating when you cross that. So that's one. So if you want to be a digital marketer, that's the one. The other one is to become a product manager. So product manager works closely with engineering teams, with sales and marketing to figure out how to make a product come to life and be delivered to clients and actually make it have value. All right. So again, in product, it's one of those really, really, really sought after roles that when you think about it, you think a lot of them have MBAs because it's not really a technical role, although in some organizations it's very, very technical. So product manager, again, in Kenya is very filled by, again, Safaricom, Coop Bank, we have Huawei, we have CarePay, Turnkey Africa. The kind of skills needed is commercial skills. You need a bit of coding, but you don't really, really have to code to be a really good commercial. You need to be a team worker and strategic thinking. Salaries range from anything from 150,000 shillings, 2 to 5 years experience, remember, to about 350 for 2 to 5 years experience. So that's number 2. Number 3 is the designer, one of my favorite. So designer here, I'm thinking if you want to be a UI UX designer, again, going back into the creative mindset. So if you think every time you click on a website and you just love that really clunky button, or just how visuals come to life, or even you're always curious about, I wonder how many users like this, I wonder how the interaction is done, that is a life of a UI UX designer. If that is what you're interested in, again, the most, and again, remember, this is you as almost a gig worker. People who are hiring, again, as Safaricom, Sendy, Scan Group, Cellulant, Cyton, Equity Bank. The kind of skills that you need is Adobe Photoshop, you need web design, you need Illustrator, you need a bit of graphic design. In terms of pay, you're looking at 2 to 5 years experience, 120 to 250,000 shillings. Again, 2 to 5 years experience, right? Questions will come later, all right? And then the other one is the life of a programmer. So again, a programmer, you're looking at design, development, and maintenance of, and we all know this, so a coder. If you want to be a coder, what does this look like in terms of currently in Kenya? People hiring that is Andela, Safaricom, Upwork, Microsoft, a lot of freelancers and eclectics. The skills that are required, fastest growing skills is backend development, full stack, front end, and a bit of data science. Companies looking for programmers, the highest is higher education, hospital and healthcare, for obvious reasons. We have stopped schooling, that life has stopped, and healthcare, obviously. All right, in terms of salary, you're looking at anything from 150,000 shillings to 400, from 2 to 5 years experience, depending whether you're just a full stack, front or backend developer. Last but not the least is a data scientist. So if you're thinking, I want to be a data scientist in this life that I have been given, that I have not been given a choice about, what does this look like? First of all, it is the most sought after career at the moment. When I asked the recruiters we work with, how much does a data scientist earn with 2 to 5 years experience, they told me they're not even there. Why are we talking about something they're not there? It has increased by 100% in the last 1 year. So if you like data, if you're a logical thinker, if you're curious about algorithms and all that, that is data science. Again, who is hiring? Safaricom, Upwork, Digital Divide, Nation Media Group, Equity Bank. So it's a very interesting mix of eclectic people. Salary starts anything from 300,000 shillings to, I think, 200,000 shillings to about 400 to 500,000 shillings a month for 2 to 5 years of experience. Okay, so I'll go back to you and say, if your life was declared redundant and you had to choose between those 5 lives, what would you be? I'm curious to see what people write, see whether you can try and pigeon yourself into one of those.
Just a second.
Yes.
Doris, just a second. Could you give me those options so I can create a poll and we can see what most people will choose? So the first one is
marketing, digital marketer. So digital marketer. So starting from the least skill to the really, really deep skill. So digital marketer, product manager, UX, UI designer, a developer, and then a data scientist.
Okay, not a problem. I'm going to create a poll right now, and I'd like to see where most people lie in the way they see themselves and their skills and whatnot. These are mind-blowing insights. Sheena agrees with me. I'm absolutely mind blown. I did not know. Am I in the wrong career? I guess you'll find out soon enough. So you can continue to create the poll, then we will see.
Yes, yeah. Think, okay? Yeah, exactly. And does anybody have any questions as they're thinking of, I call it designing your life. So I'm calling it designing your digital life. So any questions to help you make a decision better, any insights you want more, let me know so that as we go along, I'm curious to see what comes out.
Absolutely. Guys, if you have any questions about anything that Doris is saying, please just say it right now. So in the chat box, then I'm going to ask her right now. So most people are commenting on where they lie in the whole spectrum. So we can proceed, then we will come back to that. Sounds good? Okay.
All right. Okay. So just one last thing. Again, I can't say this enough. When I looked at those insights, I realized that Upwork and Fiverr were really, really the top employers, meaning that people have discovered that you don't. And if you look at their profiles, someone has a full-time job and also is still a web developer, still a web designer, starting to double into data science. So this is for those who have maybe decided they are no longer, they don't probably want to be entrepreneurs, but are thinking, is this it? Is there more I can do with my life? Can I still add a bit more into it? And there's definitely a big, big space. And I know Sheena has talked about this also in the digital space. Those are the top 5, but there's definitely a lot more. And the functional skills remain the same. So you can be a developer, lawyer. I have a one who's really, really awesome. Can be a doctor, web developer. So it doesn't necessarily mean that whatever you've done goes away. In fact, that's compound interest for you to just really, really develop that better. Yeah. So I think, Cindy, that's it from me, unless there are any questions. I'm curious, and then you feel free to ask me any questions to help that.
Okay, just 1 second. Kafu is asking, I want to be a data scientist already, or she's saying, but I feel like I'm more of a creative thinker. Hoping Cindy will share the article and links mentioned earlier for self-awareness. And Stella is asking,
Okay.
what are some of the skills that data scientists needs to have?
All right. Okay, so I'll share a lot of the material that I've used to just help you guys think about this. But definitely, data science is a mix of computer science. It's a mix of a bit of programming, just programming, computer science, and statistics. So the rest of us who maths and stuff was not necessarily our best subject, we might stay away from those big monies, but it's definitely something you can't create. I think our school system also is not helping. So that's why I say also create self-awareness much. I'll give an example of myself. I did a degree when I was in university. I really hated maths. I couldn't. I hated statistics. I did my master's 2 years ago. I did a master's in science and I majored in statistics and I aced it. I got a distinction. But if you had asked me before, I'd probably have said, oh, I don't think I can do that. So again, I repeat that as you continue with life, be more self-aware, check who you are, how you think logically, and there's a possibility that you actually are good. It's just that our school system is not actually bringing that in you. Yeah, I hope that helps. But I will send this information to Cindy and then she'll send to you guys.
So we have a lot of data scientists. So maybe if you hadn't mentioned the salary scale, we would have had a more objective kind of poll. But I'm very human right now. Part of me wishes, you know what? Maybe I should be a data scientist. I suck at math, but maybe I could definitely use, the salary scale and everything else. Right? So
yes.
So,
but the journey to data science is really, and someone has asked that question, sorry.
Yeah.
So you start with data analysis, which is really, really basic. Then you go into data engineering. By the time you become a data scientist, my goodness, you're the it. Like I can count how many are there in this country and they demand anything they want. So it is a journey that you take, but it's definitely worth it. Yeah.
Okay. So a data analyst and a data scientist, those are different. That's what Kabinti is asking.
Yes. Yes, completely different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for you to be a data scientist, you have to be in the analytical, mathy, nerdy type of thing, or do creatives, flamboyant, nerdy people like myself have hope? God.
Again, my profession is helping people think. I'm an industrial psychologist, so I do help you think through your career. Yeah. And I want to just say this with all the love, you will struggle. It doesn't mean you will not be able to do it. You will struggle more than someone who is naturally predisposed to being a very logical thinker. But you can do it if you want to put in all the energy and stuff in the world. You can do it.
Okay. I feel like this is important to say because it ties in very closely to what you said at the very beginning of this conversation, self-awareness. And I think it's something Kabinti agreed with. Because knowing where your skills are at, you can't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, right? But if you put a monkey in water and a fish in water, guess who's going to succeed, But for me, I feel like, and for a lot of people that I know, the self-awareness that allows you to know that this comes so naturally to me. I could do it when you tap me in my sleep and put me on a podium somewhere. I may be in my pajamas, but I'll be able to give a speech and maybe sell a vision or something without having to wash my face. Put me in a computer room and I'll be scratching my head. And I think it's also same thing but related to what Sheena also mentioned earlier. She said she's not very techy, but right now she's the director of the UK Kenya Tech Hub. But it also goes back to the whole thing about hiring for your weaknesses, partnering with people who are good at things you are not good at, and finding a way to build your career around your strengths, your talents, and things that come more naturally to you. So the results of our poll, before we continue, 50% data scientists, we all love money, right? Then 30% digital marketing, because it's a bit easier and it's a bit less stressful, and the concepts I feel are easier to understand, in my opinion. Then there's product manager, 9%. I don't know if you guys can see the poll, and I'm busy here reading. Can you guys see the poll results? Okay, so
I can.
Okay, great. So that's that's what the jury has decided. Looks like we all want to get into the data scientist thing. So there's someone who asked in the chat earlier, for someone with a background in data, how long does it take to fully finish the course?
So again, I want us to get out of this mentality that there's course, there's learning. Learning has to be practical. I would rather you ask me how much experience, cumulative experience do I need than a course. For example, we helped Microsoft when they were launching into Kenya last year, and they were doing a lot of developers. And I think they didn't even care what degree you had done. They just said, can someone code? If we give them this code, can they do it?
Yeah.
That was the end of the discussion.
Yeah.
And that's how I want us to change our mindsets into what practicals can I do? What experiences can I learn? How can I prototype and learn every day and test this to a point where I am good at it? Because the thing about being practical is that every time you find something you're struggling with, you will go and learn that and come back. So you'll go to Code Academy, learn that. But if we have this mentality that we have to go to school and then we miss the real practical hands-on experience that is required for actually all these digital skills that we are talking about.
Absolutely. I find that extremely insightful, and I feel like it's something a lot of people, especially in the tech space, would relate with. A lot of us, our schools, our colleges, our universities are not teaching us things that we are actually doing right now. I mean, people who know me know I went to law school. They don't teach you how to host webinars like this. Certainly, they did not teach you anything about webinar jam, right? That's why I'm struggling, you know. and a number of other things. And it's something that I told people. Maybe there's some people here who subscribe to our newsletter, and it's also part of the conversation. You know, Nikki and Shina contributed way earlier. I hadn't met you, Doris. You could have really fit into that conversation. You know, the thing is, the ability to know how to learn and to learn fast, increasing your capacity to learn and your level of curiosity, for me, I feel like has been the absolute superpower that has allowed me personally to grow into, you know, and doing what we do right now. And even when I'm looking for someone to hire, I've never asked anyone, what did you do in college? It becomes absolutely irrelevant. I want to know, what have you taught yourself of the last 3 months, of the last 1 year? You know, what can you show for your period here that you have? And Stella says it quite rightly. Schools and colleges teach definitions. Absolutely. So Kafu and Imelda have very good questions. So Kafu asks, gives us the pointers that we can build the skills required through digital space. And Imelda asks, I need help in thinking through my career. My connection is a bit bad, but I love all the aspects of impacting the community. And she loved the example that Nikki gave about the plumber and how insightful it was. So let's address Kafu.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sure you can read the question, I think. Can you?
Yes, I can. So Kafu, first of all, the first thing I'd like to ask you to do is spend time thinking about who you are. I can't stress this enough. We jump into careers. I, like Cindy, was thought at the time that interior design looked really, really sexy. It looked like it was just this cool thing. So I did a degree in interior design. I can't separate two colors. I am not a visual thinker. I cannot choose color to save my life. I can't even draw a straight line half the time. It was a bad decision. But because I didn't have someone to actually look at me and say, Doris, come on, you know you can't do that. Why are we wasting time? So spend time really, really understanding who you are, so that for any job that anybody does, you need to get into what in psychology we call flow. This ability where you're able to do something for 2 hours without even feeling where the time has gone, where even if it's challenging, you're excited by the challenge and not frustrated and feeling anxiety because of the challenge. But the only way you can get into flow is if you're doing things that are aligned to your interests, values, motivations, and traits. So Kafu, start with self-awareness, understand who you are first, and what is it that you think you can flourish in terms of traits, meaning your personality, your value system, and all that, and then now think about the career. Again, for me, I keep saying, immediately when you're a bit more sure about what that can look like, and then start prototyping. So again, try not to go to big schools. Don't pay any money. Go to a free, if you say, for example, you want to be a data scientist, find free data science courses online, do one, and then try and figure something out and then come back. So this ability for you to switch between testing something a little bit and then taking it to the real world and testing it a little bit, is it? There's no standard way to do this. You have to try and figure it out and test as you go along. At least if you speak to a lot of the designers a lot of the digital careers that have taken place, a lot of them have been really testing and moving, and there's no one sure path to it. Yeah, I hope that has been helpful.
I think it's very helpful because I can personally relate it to my own personal journey. Before you know, and it's something someone I really admire called Tom Bilyeu also speaks about quite often. And I think Gary Vee also says, do not optimize too early. Try a lot of different things. See what interests you most. See what you're good at. See what you can spend the majority of what is left of your life doing. Then you can optimize and find a way to build. If I tried modeling at some point, I realized I am terrible at it. I tried singing, and I'm telling you, you do not want to hear me sing because everyone around me was traumatized, including my mother. When your mother says, you have a problem. But that is, because when you have short hair and you walk nicely, you're like, oh, you can be a model. And maybe when you have a sharp voice, I'm sure you can belt out a tune. People are misleading you, right? So.
And then you're told, don't listen to your haters.
I am telling you, absolutely. So the journey of self-discovery is just that, a journey. You try different things, then when you see this interests you enough to want to move forward with it, then you can move forward with it. And perhaps Sheena can also join into this conversation as we wait for Stewart to come through, because I know Sheena has been in the digitech space for a while. I mean, right now with what they're doing at the UK Kenya Tech Hub, I know they're doing a lot of other programs, working with entrepreneurs and whatnot. And it's important for us to know as we move through the world, there's what we think is important, spending time chiseling out the perfect CV and things. And maybe Doris, I could ask you now that you guys have a recruitment agency and whatnot, what determines which CV goes up and which one does not, or who finally gets the job offer and who does not? And Sheena, if you have any perspectives that you feel like you can add, please feel free to jump in and whatnot, because this is the kind of conversation that I feel a lot of people would be very pleased to have. What would be the top 10 skills? Not 10, top 3. Okay, not 10. Top 3 skills that you feel like if you've got this, Yes, so please indulge us. And Henry, I've seen your comment. We'll talk. Go on. Doris, there you are. Sheena, is that you? Oh, great.
I'm on. Sorry, do you want me to go or do you want Doris to go? I'm happy either way.
Okay, you go, then we'll go back to Doris, and then just may the loudest person of you go.
No, I mean, I think Doris, I just had to say, I really enjoyed your sort of presentation. And I think what you've sort of described and from the questions people have asked, I think one of the big things to note is that information that you have is really important. And one of the things that I think are the biggest issues is information asymmetry, stuff that's in your head or my head or whatever that needs to go out there to the people. And how do we do that? And that's kind of as part of UK Kenya Tech Hub. I'm really trying to do that more and more. How do we try and change this information asymmetry? And webinars and things are also great, but I'm thinking, do we just need to do sort of like, like the sheet that you're going to share? Do we need just to do a nice profile or infographic or something and just say this is what it's and I think about this a lot. And in fact, some of the programs that we're soon going to be like releasing, and I'm just waiting to get approval, are actually around this. So definitely we'll touch base. But I think insights you've shared have been amazing. And I think from what everybody's responded, the fact that you gave really practical things, like this is the skills, this is what you need, this is what the salary expectations are, and these are the kind of companies looking for it. So I think spot on. So really enjoyed. And I think particularly from the people in this webinar, I think they would have really benefited from that. So I think well done, really impressive. From my end, from the other side, right, from hiring my team, etc., from also also, like, I mean, my own background is very different. Like, I was a lawyer I was a lawyer in London for 10 years. So imagine Suits. That's what I thought I was going to be, like a partner in London. If you told me like 10 years ago or 6 years ago, you're going to be in London, in Kenya, working for the UK government, running a tech hub, I'd be like, you've got the wrong person. Like, that's insane. I came here, I started my own tech startup. I failed my own startup firm. Then I went into impact investing, entrepreneur support. So I've done a lot, right? And I think the key point is the experience bit. Everything you said is, how do we, from when you're from 2 to 5 years, that's where it starts. But how do these young people who've just finished college, have just finished school, how do they get to 2 years? No one's going to be looking at them to get to the 2 years. And this is the big problem, right? Like, from 2 to 5 years, it gets easier. I'm not saying it's easy. It's never easy. But after 2 to 5 years of some work, you can do your own gig, you can do your own thing. But how do you get to that first stage? And I think this is where a lot of the young people fall off. And I think this is where we have a bit more of a responsibility, right? How can we do to help? One, let's create more awareness, just like what you did, and get it out to as many people as possible. But number two, a couple of the programs that I'm kind of designing, and I hope they go through, is let's match people, junior people. Like, let's just say the people who've come out, like your Andellas, your Moringas, your Strathmores, whatever, or even your courses online, your, Coursera, your all of these, right? People who've come out, your Cisco, whatever it is, there's so many people, right? And let's give them that practical experience, let's give them that project. So for example, it could be build a website for a startup that doesn't know how to build a website, build a chat box for an SME, do a data analysis project for an SME. Because I tell you something else, right? There's one thing to create the demand. It's one thing, and think about what you just said. All the people who are hiring are the same people. Safaricom, the high tech growth, that's never going to absorb all the people that are coming out. Think about our population. We're never going to absorb all of them. So I agree, self-employment is one. But have we thought about a second in between, which is, let's say let's get an SME or a business aware of why they need a data person. Right now, as I keep saying, right, data is done, the hiring is done by HR professionals, awesome, but they see IT as operational, right? Until they don't see IT as strategic, you're not going to say it. So I give this example, and my husband gets really annoyed with me because I literally used him as my example for everything. But he runs a car tracking company. They do fleet management, etc. Amazing data. I'm like, and I said to him, I said, Raihan, why don't you hire a data analyst? He's like, oh, I don't have time. I don't have this. And I'm like, a data analyst can clean up all of this stuff, can save you time, earn you money, and save costs. He's shocked. I can't believe that. Now imagine if I was able to get a data apprentice, right? An apprentice of any kind of whatever for him for 3 months or 6 months for a particular project. If he saw what value it adds to his business, and I mean in terms of business language, saving costs, increasing revenue, and saving time or improving processes, believe me, him and other SMEs like him will be hiring those people. So that's step one, is getting experience to the young guys, to get them some experience so they get to that 2-year level. But second one is, how do we build awareness? How do we build awareness from there's so many SMEs. SMEs are the heart of our economy. How do we make them realize that actually going digital, whether it's digital marketing, product management, data, is going to help your business? We need to create case studies in business language. And this is why, and Cindy, going back to, I'm a non-tech person, even though I started my own tech startup, but going back to why a non-tech person who is aware of what she doesn't know, teaching herself how to code, etc., is good to lead these kind of things, because I can then speak the language that businesses need. The problem is, techs, you will never be able to convince a business in your tech language why you need a data analyst. You'll never be able to do it. Mark my words.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's
Absolutely.
that goes back to the partnership points. But I think shortlist companies like yourselves, I know Fuzo's recently released a report around this, and I think you guys, what you've done, if you release stuff like this, is the kind of stuff that you guys could really, and happy to sort of think through what else. But those are the two key things. How do we give these young people experience? And one way is that the matchmaking, right? If you're a startup and you're a techie, guys, partner, techie, create the startup, the website, right? Startup person, you're selling oil, you're selling this, you need a website, you need digital marketing. Get these junior guys, work together. That's how you get your experience. So then when you go for your job interview 2 years later, or when you go to find a business opportunity, you actually have that experience that you can show, because degrees are getting cut out, right? Like if you look at law, the big four consultancies, etc. Okay, actually law is not the same in the UK, but people are not looking at degrees, they're looking at experience. So if you can say, I built this website, it now has these many links, or I've done X, Y, and Z, those are the things that are going to get you your next job or get you your next gig. So that's all I would say. But yeah, that's it for me.
Preach. Damn, that is absolutely powerful. Absolutely powerful. I'm going to take a short second to welcome Stewart, who's joined us in. Thank you. Doris, if you could finish us off, where have you disappeared? Finish us off. You have
I'm here now.
something you wanted to share, and then yes, something you wanted to share before now we can move to Stewart.
Okay.
This has been mind blowing, guys, for me. I don't know
Stewart,
for the rest of you.
good to see you. Yeah, you can thank Stewart for some of the data that I shared because, as I said, it came from LinkedIn Insights.
Okay.
So Sheena, that is one person to collaborate with also. So Sheena there was a question from Sheena and also one from Cindy. So Sheena asked around, how can we get people from 0 to 2 years experience? I don't have all the answers, but what I can tell you is over the last 3 months, I've experimented with 5 youth because I'm really trying things out. They finished their university, they are just sitting at home. So I told them to create mini profiles of who they are and what they can do, and to just share with me. I will spread virtually and see whether anybody is looking for gig work. They all have gigs. That is how we are going to get to 2 years experience. It's not going to be your traditional career. It's going to be, this person gave me this work to do for 3 days. As a recruiter, I can confirm to you that most employers just want cumulative 2 years experience. It doesn't matter whether it was gained with one company or 25 different companies. So there's 3 of them who are finance, who are now, one of them is a virtual assistant who has been hired now for, I think, 3 months enrolling. One of them is a teacher who is managing 3 schools teaching tech. But all I did is I was trying to show the youth that you don't need a full-time career, just get small gigs. As an employer, if you show me that you've been doing these small gigs and you have references to show that, that's enough. I just need you to know that you've transferred from being an adolescent to an adult. And I'm saying this with all the love, and that comes from work. Okay, so that's sort of one bit. You had asked me about CVs and getting them. So I say this everywhere, I will say this at this point again. If your only way of job hunting is through a CV that you're trying to get to the front, you have missed 70% of your chances of getting hired. Most employers, 70% of jobs are filled before you even know it. And they are filled, unfortunately, through something we don't like saying, but it's the reality, through networking. So your ability to build your social capital, I keep telling people, write down a list of 10 companies you want to work, go through one by one, find people in your immediate contacts who know anybody, go to LinkedIn, find an introduction. Don't try and introduce yourself as much as you can. Find an introduction and a common connection. Reach out to them. Just have a conversation. Don't even ask for a job. Have a conversation, check with them. If you emotionally connect to someone, they will think about you. So CV, as much as I like talking about the CV, I want people to get away from thinking the CV and job application is a way to go. You're missing a lot of opportunities. And I'm a recruiter, I should probably not say this, but we only get jobs when companies have completely not been able to fill, because we are very expensive. We charge high premium to place someone for you. So they will try everything before they come to a recruiter. So really try and build your social capital. I think that's it from me. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to take them later.
Absolutely. Oh my Lord, this is absolutely stunning. And what Doris has just said totally reflects my personal experience trying to run Village to Nation. The one thing I always ask is, what have you worked on before? And can I see it, or send me links, it doesn't have to be something as elaborate as trying to build a rocket ship, but I just want to see, have you had the kind of inner drive to try out and have the career that you want, to say you can try out and do what you say you can do, right? We ask for portfolios, not CVs. I don't remember ever looking at a CV, to be honest. Anyway, this is not about me. I don't know, my mind is woof, and I'm hoping it's the same for you guys. I can see the comments are, I thrive in compliments, guys, so if you want, you can keep them coming. So I'm going to introduce our last panelist of the day, and I'm not going to introduce him as much as I'm going to let him introduce himself. So Stewart, welcome to the club and to the tribe, and we're so jazzed to have you join us. Oh my God, he showed up with a mic. You're making us
Well,
look like amateurs in here.
well, no. So I showed up on camera a few minutes ago and I realized, first of all, I'm having a bad hair day. So I got a LinkedIn cap, got my cap on, which is LinkedIn for good. I'm doing the good gesture. And then of course, I'm always ready with the microphone. I just took off the headphones. So glad to connect with you guys. Happy Friday, everyone.
Good to have you here. So I'm going to explode you on the screen, and I want you to just talk to us, share with us your story, like we talked about in the morning. You know, you work for LinkedIn, so you probably have all the insider secrets on career progression and how coronavirus has affected our movement upwards and whatnot. What hope does Africans generally have if they want to get to have a global career? How will that just tell us a story or two? So, Faris says he loves the LinkedIn hoodie. So,
LinkedIn
take
hoodie,
it to.
LinkedIn cap. So thank you very much. So good to have you guys for a few minutes. This wasn't planned to be a presentation, but really to tell a story about how I've used LinkedIn. I've used LinkedIn for well over 9 years now. Well, yeah, well over 9 years. LinkedIn is only 16 years old, so I'm showing my age. In terms of using LinkedIn, it has become a superpower for me because I've been able to move from 3 organizations, not because I'm applying for jobs, but because the hiring managers have been finding me and have been going back to the hiring managers and saying, get him. And what that means is the power of personal branding cannot be understated. It goes well beyond just building out a profile. Building out a profile is just the elementary, just getting started. Where the superpower comes in is you building the credibility around yourself, what you're passionate about, what you care about, what skills you have, and more importantly, how you educate other people. So when I was asked to jump onto this call this morning for this session, my natural instinct was to say yes, because where else am I going to meet 30 people online and create a new network? Just like Doris said at the beginning just now, that your network is the most powerful thing that's going to help you get access to a job. If you're shooting for a job and you don't have someone within that organization to give you a referral, your honest chances, even if you meet the qualifications, are 1:10. Whereas if you have a referral or someone within the organization that takes you from being a candidate to being a human being, then your chances of getting that job are 3-1. So it pays for us to network. It pays for us to build credibility and to share best practices on the things we're passionate about. And on sharing those best practices, as I said, lead with education, empower someone, excite someone, engage someone, and teach them the things that you've learned in your past career. So that's just a little bit of it. What I do, my daytime job, for those who are interested, is that I work at scale with universities, I work with institutions, I work with organizations, predominantly working with their recruitment managers and HR managers and helping them find you as talent. So some of the things that they point out that I'd like to just point out on your profile, and I'm sure you've discussed this, get a great photograph, attach proof points of your work. So putting in visual stimulation, visual images, putting in YouTube links to the videos about your organization, talking about the impact that you have brought in as an individual. Those are the things that stand out in terms of how they select. Because again, ultimately, if you think about it, as a recruiter or as a hiring manager, my job is not to select the best candidate, it's to eliminate candidates that are not the right fit. So you definitely want to make sure that you don't get eliminated purely because of how you've represented yourself. You've made your LinkedIn look like a resume, and I've just been hearing that word on this call and literally pulling my hair out. But yeah, the companies that still use resumes. So how do I stand out from that pack? And it all really boils down to your personal brand and you consistently working on it. I'm happy to answer questions. There's so much on LinkedIn you can do. So if you're a young professional, for example, I know a lot of people don't know this. If you go onto jobs, for example, if you go onto LinkedIn and the top menu, I think it's the third or fourth menu, is jobs, where you can go and configure what kind of jobs you're looking for, what titles. Even in your own personal settings, you can leave a note for recruiters to know. And then lastly, it can even show you the standard interview questions to expect, practice them, get a machine learning assessment based on how you've answered, or even share some of those with other people and say, I'm going for an interview. I've taken this online test on responding to interview questions. What do you think?
Wow. Wow. So it's a good thing you mentioned things about LinkedIn, because we hadn't talked about how to stand out on LinkedIn. So I don't know if people, I'm sure people would want to know more about that, because in my experience, every time I meet someone, in time, when I connect with someone, what do you call it? In business, you get my point, guys. My brain is a bit overworked right now. The first thing I do is go look for them on LinkedIn. All right, I go through their profile. I figure out, oh, what do we have in common? Is there a conversation we can have that I feel that they can relate with when it comes to me? It's not about kissing us. It's about trying to find out, is there a point of synergy?
Yeah.
And most of all, it's about, is there a way that maybe I can add value to this person? Is there a way we can collaborate? We had part of the conversation earlier about adding value. One of our panelists today talked about how can you show that you can add value, and I feel like it very closely relates to what you've just said right now. So if you just talk to, what are some of the most outstanding profiles on LinkedIn that you feel you could share with?
Well, what you could do to add value, now that you speak about it, is first of all, as you reach out to these people for informational interviews is reaching out into your network and say, hey, your company is one of those companies I'd love to work for. I'd like to understand the culture, the values, the career development opportunities, etc. As you reach out to those people, like I said, go and look at their profiles and look for common patterns or common things that you can talk about. So what are they passionate about? What are they posting? What volunteer activities have they done that you could probably use to ease that conversation? Instead of, hi, I'm looking for a job, it's a question of, hey, I see you're a Rotarian, or you belong to this Toastmasters organization, which I'm a part of, and start off with that. The other thing you could also do is look at what schools they went to. Schools are a great place of finding alumni, and on LinkedIn, if you go back to the universities, you can see the people that studied in the same institution as yourself, and you can start reaching out to them. And then another one that's important, and I know I'm probably speaking fast, is the whole point of, before reaching out to someone, show an interest in what they do. So if that person is really strategic to you and really key to you getting access to a job or getting access to an organization or getting access to that person's network, then ideally what you want to do then is to look and say, okay, great, what kind of content have they posted? And I don't mean the content they posted today, this week, last month. Go really far back deep and just have a look at the way that they communicate and what they're passionate about. I think one of the superpowers of LinkedIn is not just posting updates, but writing articles. So go and have a look. Has that person written articles? Are those articles aligned to your career goals? Are they aligned to the job and the pains that they're feeling as a business? What insight can you glean from it and use them as a conversation starter, whether you're to meet them in person or to meet them in a virtual environment? So profiles, people can have great photographs, great backgrounds, and put in attachments around what they've done. But I think the superpower for all of us in building credibility is us actually writing articles about the things we're passionate about and showing that we're open to other people's opinion. Because when you write an article, other people are going to jump back at you. And the more you continue to jump back at you and the more you continue to interact on that, here's what's happening in the back of the mind. So, for example, you talked about LinkedIn, you talked about using LinkedIn and how to use a LinkedIn profile. This year alone, I've done about 18 sessions on how to build your LinkedIn profile. And I've posted them on my YouTube channel. But what's happened as a net result is that essentially real estate Sorry about that. My daughter's doing something, and this is the second course she's done it. No? So outside. Sorry. So essentially what's happening is that if we think about the commercial world we work in, right, or even the world we live in, most of you are sitting in Kenya right now. Every time you drive, you're going to see a Safaricom billboard.
Absolutely.
It does not say go buy airtime. It does not make you go buy airtime or scratch cards. But what it does for you is that it buys mental real estate. The day when you open up your office or your office is expanding and someone says we need fiber, which is the first company you think of?
Damn.
Same thing applies in terms of our ideas, our branding, and our things that we're passionate about. Is that the more we talk about them, the more we write about them, the more we willingly research, learn, join groups, share content, participate, give advice. You know what? Every morning you have a choice as an individual. You have a choice to wake up as a student or to wake up as a teacher. And the beauty about LinkedIn is that you can be both. You can be a teacher in sharing what you've learned just now, and then you can be a student in terms of willingness to accept other people's perspective and willingness to grow. So guys, the superpower in short is start writing articles, start building credibility, start focusing on just what you know. There's no pointing in all of us trying to be COVID experts when we're not health professionals. Focus on what you know. Be known for one or two things rather than everything.
Wow. Wow. Preach. But now that we have you here, there's an insecurity I personally struggle with, and I'm just going to lay it out for everyone else here to hear. Guys, what happens in this webinar stays here, okay? So, so I personally find, and I'm sure maybe some other people here could also be sharing in the same challenge, when it comes to things like Facebook and whatnot, we receive a lot of engagement, and there's a lot of people who show us love, and I'm a sucker for being shown love, right? So people like your posts, share them, they're like, you go girl, and I drink it all up, definitely, right? Because why not? When it comes to LinkedIn, it's a bit more cricket in there. So how do you encourage yourself, or how do you get more engagement, particularly in about, okay, I'm going to read what Henry has just said. So how do you get more engagement, and how do you get to encourage yourself to just keep posting, even if it feels like you're posting into a black hole? And Henry has just said, I don't know anything about this guy, but I swear he's just given me a more Kenyan personal branding and standing out. The Lord's work. So that's a compliment. Yeah. Good, guys. This is why we're doing this.
I feel good. It's Friday. I needed that boost. Yeah, God's working here.
God's work, man. Okay, so tell me about this engagement business, so that I don't.
Yeah, engagement is different on LinkedIn than it is on Facebook. But remember, this is your professional network. So first of all, grow your professional network, and don't grow it as a popularity contest. It is not. And that's why on LinkedIn, when you look up someone, it only shows you 500. It says this person has 500 plus connections. That is to stop people from aggressively connecting with random people, because it's about value, right? It's about value, it's about impactful relationships, meaningful relationships. And my process is connect with people you know, connect with people that inspire you, connect with people that are in your industry, but try and keep that number authentic, because what happens is that the people you connect with, that's the content you're going to be receiving on a daily basis. So if you connect with random people, on your newsfeed, you're going to find random information. So
Absolutely.
I say, connect with people in your industry, connect with people that inspire you, connect with people that coach you, connect with people that you know in the real world. And then number two, start following organizations and start seeing how they're communicating, because again, if you follow the organizations, you get their content. Then next, look at your target audience, understand who your target audience is, what's the age, what's the demographic, what's the location, so that you can also again look at the people you connected with and say, are they the same? And if not, start removing some of the people that are not giving you useful content, useful information. it's okay. They won't know. It's our secret. Then also start leveraging your network. Leveraging your network to amplify your message. What that means is I'm sharing with my colleagues, I'm sharing with my friends, I'm sharing with my workmates and saying, hey guys, I'm writing out this article. Could you help retweet it, reshare it, post it out on other platforms? Because the power of amplification is that when you send out a message and your people or your colleagues or your connections start sharing it, it will reach up to 24 times more people.
Yeah.
So leverage your network for that. And also appreciate other people's content, participate in their content, because it's a reciprocal world in terms of the social media. And again, manners maketh a man. So how you interact with other people, if you're not obnoxious or you're not cocky or you're not trying to sell a piece of land in Morango or somewhere else, then people will give you credibility. So the other thing you can also do for yourself that a lot of people don't know how to do and don't utilize is join groups on LinkedIn. If you join groups on LinkedIn, you're going to find subject matter experts around the things you're passionate about, so that if you do a post or an article, you can not only post it on your profile, but you can share it in the group. And because these are like-minded professionals, they'll either correct you, support you, amplify your message, or something else.
Wow.
So it's not a popularity contest. It doesn't happen overnight. And like I said, write articles. Articles are different from updates. So if you go into my personal profile, for example, and you scroll down a bit, you're going to find where it says activities. If you click where it says activities, you'll get to see the post, or at least the online activities, the content I've liked and shared and commented on. You're then going to see articles that I've written, and then you'll see the posts that I have. Now, under the articles that I've written, these are long form. You'll find that I write both about business and also I entertain. So if I've learned in my personal capacity, or I've experienced something in my personal capacity, and I believe that people can learn from it, I will write an article about it. Because what happens now is that the recruiter, the hiring manager, the person who wants to invest in my business has seen my LinkedIn profile, which is looking good, it's shiny as expected, but at the same time, they've got a perspective of who I am as a person, what I stand for. And ultimately, when we build out these digital profiles, you want to leave people with a feeling of, I could have dinner with you. I could be stuck in an elevator with you. I could be on an hour road trip with you. Your profile is static and is a job description, a cut and paste of the vision, mission statement. I want to take a ride with you.
So Kafu asks, how can LinkedIn help me in entrepreneurship? Are there some tips and tricks you can share there and whatnot?
Yep, and yes. So here we go. Simple. You're an entrepreneur. You don't have time to be moving around with business cards. That's old school. It's done. It's dusted. Number two, LinkedIn gives you an inbox. So when people say, can I send you an email, instead of saying Stuart at Gmail, Stuart at Yahoo, or whatever your email address is, you have credibility because now you can get instant access to me. Number three, as an entrepreneur, I can attach visual representation of my work, visual representations of my customers, visual representations of my product value, service value, product solution, what impact it solves, etc. You can attach that first in your featured areas, two in your work experience area. So if I was an entrepreneur, I'd shoot a 2-minute video that highlights what my solution is and what problems it solves and how to get a hold of me. So that's I would also put in a frequently asked questions document on my profile. I would also have, instead of my full value proposition presentation, I'd look at it and say, what do my customers care about? I would then shrink it from 10 pages to 3 pages. I would have those 3 pages as an attachment on my profile. Why? If I go back to a normal life, and I meet someone in church, in a wedding, I meet someone socially at a club or whatever it is, and you get to the point of the conversation when they say, "Who are you?" First of all, I'm going to pull out my phone, or I'm going to ask them for their phone and say, "Do you have LinkedIn?" "Yes, you do." "Great, give me your phone." You give me your phone, I then search for myself on your LinkedIn, and I say, "Oh, look at that, we're not connected." So first thing is we connect. Number two, I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to look at my value proposition and say, this is what my company does. Now, the beauty about that as an entrepreneur is that business cards get lost. They get put in the pocket. You look at them later, who's this? Whereas this, you've got also the connection, you've got continuity immediately. You can see what that person does for a living, and you can start a conversation. And it means you don't have to carry business cards, presentations, brochures, flyers. It's all on your phone. So as an entrepreneur, if you're not leveraging LinkedIn, whoa, you're not going to be successful in this social world. The other thing that you can also do, which is, of course, create a company page. So yes, you're a startup. You might not have a website yet, but on LinkedIn, we allow you to go and create a company page, which allows you to have a logo, allows you to have your employees starting to affiliate with that brand. And that way, if someone is just trying to establish your credibility, when they look you up, they see you as a person, they see your skills, your education, and all of that, but they also see your organization. So as an entrepreneur, yeah, there's a ton you could do on LinkedIn.
It has been remarkably amazing because you've just folded everything together about standing out, about communicating the value you bring out, about growing your career, about everything that I hoped and more that this session would bring to the table. Okay, so are you satisfied with your parting shot, or do you want parting shot part 2?
No, my parting shot for you guys is do work right now. Don't wait to get a job. Don't wait to be employed. Start the work now. If you want to be seen as a subject matter expert in your particular field, start sharing that content on LinkedIn, start sharing it on Twitter, start sharing it on YouTube. Establish your credibility. Number 2, take care of your brand. Jay-Z said, a lot of young people on this call right now, he says, I am not trying to be a businessman. I am the business man. So you're the business. Make sure that your story is known by the world. Make sure that you own your brand. Search for yourself. Do a Google search for yourself. And you've been tagged on photographs that are inappropriate or events that are inappropriate. Make sure that you go and get yourself untagged, because here's the thing, we're human, we're perceptional. So the first impressions I get based on your photograph, your title, and your social media presence will determine if I, as a recruiter, am going to take you to my manager, take you to the board, give you access to an opportunity, or totally take you off the list. So guys, do the work now, because it's time to shine. I'm done.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That is incredible and incredible and incredible. Faris says, you deserve a 2-hour session. Absolutely. It's a conversation we had in the morning and we are making it happen, right? Right? Stewart?
Yeah.
Yes. It's a conversation we had in the morning and we're going to make it happen. And that's a conversation we're going to have after this. I am so crazy blessed that you're able to join us, albeit late, but it's something we'd already talked about. Lotir says it was an epiphany. I absolutely agree. I needed this as well. So I'm absolutely blessed. So we have the other remarkable panelists that I'd love to, give us a parting shot before we absolutely part shot from each other in this session. So we're going to start with Doris, then we're going to finish up with Sheena today. Then we're gonna call it a webinar. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Stewart. Doris, you're on.
Yes, I am. So thank you so much. It's this, Cindy. Just thank you for allowing me to be part of this. It's been really great. Just listen to everybody. But also just get a lot of the insights from everyone. I think my parting shot remains the same. I cannot say this enough. You all contain enough energy, interests, talents to live very different lives. Like whatever you are now doesn't mean you're stuck there. And they all can be productive. They all can be interesting. Asking yourself which life you want to live or which is the best is almost like asking whether is it better to have a left or a right foot. So go forth, go shine, and just be the best of whichever life. And if it doesn't work, move to the next one. Don't be stuck in something because you think this is it and this is all you can do. I think that would be my parting shot.
Absolutely. You are preaching my language. Thank you so much, Doris. You are phenomenal in ways I cannot begin to describe, and I'm crazy blessed to have you. Okay? Thank you. Sheena, you're here? Sheena, can you hear?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I am
Oh,
here. Hi.
wonderful.
Yes, I'm here. So yeah, I just want to say well done, Cindy. I think this was a great webinar, and thank you for all the other panelists. Really, really great to hear from you. I think my parting shot is a little bit similar, which is, you know what, like, you don't, yeah, don't be defined. So for example, a long time ago, all I thought of myself was a lawyer in London. Here I am in Kenya working for the UK government, director of a tech hub with no tech background, right, except for my failed attempt at my tech startup and the failed attempt at trying to teach myself coding. So there it is. So however, what I would say is leverage what we've got out there, leverage partners, leverage tools like LinkedIn. I'll be honest, I'm rubbish on Facebook, I'm never on Twitter, but LinkedIn is where I am on. And I think one of the points that I would say is, don't also worry too much about like writing something. If you don't really know what you're writing, you'll get the hang of it. But what you can do is engage in other people's content. So what I realized is actually entrepreneurs. So lots of entrepreneurs want to talk to the UK government, UK Kenya Tech Hub, and partnership opportunities, etc. And we're human, right? So people who like my articles and comment on my comments and reshare them and stuff, I remember them. So when they approach me later for their ask, I'm a lot more receptive than those cold emails and cold messages that I get constantly, right? I'm constantly getting bombarded. And yet somebody who's taken the time to read, and not like blind flattery, because I don't like that, but somebody who's taken the time to actually read, share, or pass a comment, and I'm thinking, oh wow, that makes sense. They stand out to me. So it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but we're human. We won't forget when we've engaged with somebody on a social platform or in real life who's really caught our attention. Of course, writing articles, etc., is very, very important, and you're creating your brand. And I love that, guys. Create your brand, because the future of work is what you make of it, right? Whatever it is, whatever your background is, it's what you do. And what I would really say, being in Kenya, right, is there are lots of challenges, but see them as opportunities. Change your mindset. Figure out like what the opportunities are. What can you learn yourself? Because it's always good to learn, but you can't learn everything. So who can you partner with to get the solution you want? And nothing's forever. So my dad, for example, was super, super, and I know with this personal story, we're a family of 3 daughters. And my dad was super disappointed when I left my first job, because he was sort of like believing in jobs for life, and he just could not believe it. My younger sister is 10 years younger than me, right? And what she's created, she's just co-founded the Black BYP network, which is Black Young Professionals in London. So her and her co-founder have co-founded this, and sorry to steal the LinkedIn, but it's like a Black young person's LinkedIn, and it's helping young Black professionals sort of get jobs in places like LinkedIn and Facebook, etc., and other things. They've just launched their crowdfunding campaign and made over £500,000 in less than 2 weeks. Crowdfunding. So all I'm saying is these are 2 young girls, right, who saw a problem and they decided to solve it. And my dad, before she joined this, my dad was the most disappointed, like worse than me, because not only did she just move to another job, she's just doing something, he has no idea what she's doing, and he's always like, oh my god. So all I'm saying is, the one thing that's constant is change. Have confidence in yourself. You will fail, and that's okay. You'll get up and you'll do it again. So really, really good to be here. And before I end, guys, Cindy has been one of our female tech founders from the UK government, UK Kenya Tech Hub program. We took her to London. She participated in our UK government Africa Investment Summit. And since then, it's just been a great journey. So really, really happy. And I'm trying to avoid webinars and panels, but if Cindy asks, I can't say no. But this has been awesome. And thank you all for being here. And I hope it was useful, because it was useful for me.
Oh my Lord. Thank you. Thank you so much, so much, so much. I am absolutely blown away by everything. The fact that you guys took time out of your afternoon on a weekday where you could be spending time with your families, taking tea, or just loving on them, or just doing whatever. It's a Friday evening after all, and you chose to spend the time here learning, showing up, and just being amazing. Guys, you have absolutely made my day. Sheena, God bless you so much. You're a powerhouse of a human being. I absolutely appreciate you. Doris, you are phenomenal. Your enthusiasm moves me always. And for Stewart, I know our call today was a bit of a short notice, but it absolutely touched me that you were able to join on such short notice, and just made changes around your schedule to be here. And you are an absolute great addition to this panel that we've had today. Guys, I don't know who gained the most from this. I feel like, this was just supposed to be for me, because there's so much value shared across the board. And I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed it, just as much as I did. And this is just the inaugural webinar event that we have in our series. At Village to Nation, we just want to bring you so much value. And as some of you have said, we've opened your eyes in a couple of ways, not me, the panelists, which is amazing. So thank you everyone for being here and just taking your time to show up. If this is something you'd like to consider, you can, just write a review on our Facebook page so that more people can join our other sessions. Obviously, I had to plug that in, obviously, and I'm thankful. So we're going to end this, and I'm going to send you an email with a recording of this session, and I'm also going to share with you the documents Doris shared, and I'm also going to link Stewart's YouTube channel as well. So God bless you all. Have a splendid afternoon, evening ahead, and I'm just going to go somewhere and cry in joy and happy tears.